You're talking. Again. Filling the space because silence feels heavy. You notice it only after the words leave your mouth. That tightening in your chest. That small regret you swallow and pretend not to feel. You said more than you planned. You explained when no one asked. You clarified, justified, softened. And the room shifted quietly. Eyes changed. Posture adjusted. Someone leaned back while you leaned forward. You didn't lose control all at once. It leaked out sentence by sentence. You feel it now. That faint awareness that something was taken. Not money. Not status. Position. You replay the moment later. Why did I say that? Why did I add that detail? Why did I keep going? You tell yourself you were being open. Honest, clear. But underneath that story is a different truth. You were relieving pressure. Trying to be understood. Trying to reduce uncertainty. And the moment you tried to reduce it for yourself, you increased it for them. They didn't have to ask. They didn't have to push. You volunteered. You feel exposed without knowing why. Nothing dramatic happened. No confrontation. No attack. Just a subtle imbalance you can't quite name. That's the discomfort. That's the signal. Because somewhere between your first word and your last, the dynamic shifted. Not loudly. Not visibly. But decisively. You didn't notice it happening. That's the point. You were taught that speaking is strength. That clarity earns respect. That explaining yourself prevents misunderstanding. That the good person communicates openly and often. So you followed that rule. You filled silence with context. You answered questions before they were asked. You shared intentions to appear trustworthy. You believed transparency would protect you. And you were punished for it. Not openly, not immediately, but consistently. The more you spoke, the less weight your words carried. The more you clarified, the more others felt entitled to probe. The more you explained your motives, the easier it became to predict you. You were promised connection. What you got was exposure. You were promised respect. What you received was familiarity, and familiarity breeds leverage, not honor. Reality does not reward good intentions. It does not care that you meant well. It does not pause to admire honesty. Psychology is indifferent to virtue. Systems respond only to patterns. And the pattern was this. You spoke to relieve your own discomfort. Others listened to extract information. You thought you were building understanding. They were mapping you. Your tone revealed uncertainty. Your timing revealed need. Your explanations revealed where you sought approval. Nature doesn't protect the expressive. It favors the unreadable. The loud animal is easy to track. The quiet one survives. This is the moral shatter. Not because openness is evil, but because it is inefficient in a competitive environment. The world does not reward those who reveal themselves freely. It aligns with those who reveal themselves strategically. And the moment you realize that, the old story collapses. There is a reason strategists, generals, and rulers across history were measured by what they did not say. Not because they were cold, because they understood something most people never study. Machiavelli was blunt about it. So were Sun Tzu, Tacitus, and every serious student of power. Speech is never neutral. Every word alters the field. This idea is uncomfortable, so it's often softened or ignored. Modern culture reframes it as charisma or communication skills, but the original principle was harsher. Those who speak too freely surrender initiative. Machiavelli observed that rulers lost control not through violence, but through disclosure. Plans shared too early. Emotions revealed too clearly. Explanations offered when silence would have forced others to move first. This wasn't cynicism. It was observation. In strategy, information asymmetry is leverage. The one who knows more acts later. The one who speaks less sees further. Silence creates a vacuum. Human psychology cannot tolerate it. People rush to fill it with assumptions, confessions, justifications. In doing so, They expose their priorities. The controversial truth is this: power is not built by expressing yourself. It is built by controlling what others can infer. This principle offends moral instincts. It sounds manipulative to the untrained ear, but it isn't about deception. It's about discipline. The strategist does not lie more. He speaks less. He understands that words are irreversible actions. Once released, they cannot be retrieved or reinterpreted on command. Authority comes from alignment with reality, not from appearing virtuous. And reality consistently favors those who conserve information. This is why restraint feels unnatural at first. You are conditioned to perform clarity, not to command space. You're tired of feeling misunderstood after you've explained yourself perfectly. Tired of watching others gain advantage while you did nothing wrong. Tired of that quiet sense that you keep giving more than the situation requires. You don't complain about it out loud. You just feel it accumulate. You speak. You clarify. You try to be precise. And somehow the outcome still tilts away from you. The exhaustion doesn't come from talking. It comes from realizing your words didn't protect you. There's a specific frustration here most people never name. The sense that you're always slightly ahead in effort and slightly behind in leverage. That you keep revealing while others keep observing. You begin to notice patterns. Certain people say very little, yet control the tempo of every interaction. Meetings bend around them. Conversations wait on them. They aren't louder. They aren't smarter in any obvious way. They're simply not leaking. This is where the promise enters. Not confidence. Not dominance. Clarity. You are about to unlearn the reflex to explain, to justify, to narrate your inner world for comfort. What follows isn't about becoming silent for its own sake. It's about precision. Once you see how silence functions, you can't unsee it. You'll notice when others speak from pressure, when they reveal more than the moment requires, when they negotiate against themselves, and you'll realize something unsettling. You were never required to say that much. This knowledge isn't motivational. It's irreversible. It dismantles the lie that more words create more control and replaces it with a colder, calmer truth. Speech is a tool, not a reflex. From here on, ignorance is not an option. Only discipline is. There are 3 principles. Not rules to memorize. Not techniques to perform. Shifts in how you perceive speech, silence, and control. These are not social tricks. They are structural realities. They work whether you believe in them or not. The first changes how you relate to silence. The second changes how others reveal themselves around you. The third changes how power accumulates without effort. Once these shifts settle, the world responds differently. Not because you demand it to, but because your presence alters the field. Most people chase influence by adding more. More words, more explanation, more expression. These principles subtract. They remove noise. They reduce leakage. They force others to move first. Each one is uncomfortable at first because they go against training, not instinct. You were taught to speak to be seen, to explain to be safe, to clarify to be respected. These principles operate below that layer, at the level where timing matters more than intention, where absence carries more weight than presence. You won't use these consciously at first. They'll begin as restraint, as pauses you don't fill, as sentences you choose not to finish. Over time, they become posture. Not something you do, but something you are. People will start to adjust around you. They'll speak more, reveal more, justify themselves without being asked. You won't need to confront. You won't need to assert. The structure does the work. This is not about being mysterious. It's about being economical. And economy, in any system, creates power. The blunt truth is this: every unnecessary word is a cost. Not morally, strategically, silence functions like capital. The more you spend it impulsively, the poorer your position becomes. The more you conserve it, the more options you retain. Think of pressure in a closed system. When nothing moves, force builds. The first person to break silence releases it on their own side. Your old behavior was to discharge that pressure immediately. You spoke to ease tension. You answered to be polite. You explained to regain comfort. The new behavior is restraint. You let the pressure sit. You allow the pause to exist without rescuing it. Others respond differently when you do this. They begin to talk past their initial intention. They overcorrect. They add context you never requested. What changes is not volume, but direction. Instead of you feeding the interaction feeds you. This is not passive. It requires discipline. Like a trader who doesn't react to every fluctuation, you learn to wait. You observe tone, pacing, and urgency. You notice who needs resolution more. When you stop filling space, you stop signaling need. Needlessness is misread as confidence. Confidence is misread as authority. You don't assert dominance. You remove urgency, and urgency is what gives others leverage over you. Silence forces others to reveal where they stand, what they want, how badly they want it. You are no longer the one bleeding information to stabilize the moment. You become the one the moment bends around. This power doesn't come from aggression. It comes from conservation. When you speak less, something predictable happens. Others speak more. This isn't social magic. It's psychological imbalance correcting itself. Humans are uncomfortable with uncertainty. When you don't explain yourself, the mind rushes to fill gaps. When you don't clarify, others begin to narrate for you and about themselves. Your old pattern was preemption. You answered before pressure formed. You clarified before confusion appeared. You closed loops before anyone else felt them. That protected others from exposure, not you. The shift is allowing asymmetry. You withhold commentary. They supply meaning. In any system, the one providing information is reacting. The one receiving it is positioning. Think of interrogation, negotiation, or warfare. The side that speaks first sets constraints. The side that waits gathers data. When you reduce speech, people reveal priorities unintentionally. Their pacing changes. They justify without prompting. They add emotional qualifiers that signal stakes. You begin to hear what matters to them, not what they say, but how urgently they say it. This isn't manipulation. It's observation without interference. Your old behavior was engagement-driven. You spoke to keep things smooth, to maintain flow, to appear cooperative. The new behavior is neutral presence. You listen without rewarding disclosure, with immediate response. You let people complete themselves. Others respond by leaning forward, by offering concessions, by exposing their frame. You haven't demanded control. You've simply stopped giving it away. The power here is quiet because it's structural. It emerges automatically once you stop interrupting the process with excess speech. You don't interrogate. You wait, and waiting reorders the hierarchy. The final shift is the most subtle. It's not about silence itself. It's about intent. Words were never meant to explain you. They were meant to place you. Your old habit was expressive. You spoke to be known, to be understood, to reduce distance. That impulse leaks position, because the moment you explain yourself, you lower the cost of accessing you. The new posture is deliberate speech. When you speak, it is brief. When you answer, it is contained. When you respond, it advances nothing you don't intend to advance. Think of language as architecture. Every sentence builds a shape others move inside. Most people construct rooms and invite everyone in. They give tours of their thinking. You stop doing that. Instead, your words become markers, boundaries, signals. You speak to define limits, not interiors. To indicate direction, not motivation. To close options, not open your inner world. Others react differently to this. They begin to test less. They ask more precise questions. They approach instead of assuming access. You're no longer narrating yourself. You're positioning yourself. This creates a strange effect. People project competence onto you, not because you claimed it, because you didn't dilute it with explanation. The discipline is knowing when not to speak, not because you're afraid, but because nothing is gained. Silence without purpose is avoidance. Silence with intent is authority. You don't dominate conversations. You anchor them. And once words serve position instead of comfort, control stops being something you chase. It settles. You start to notice the divide, not between loud and quiet, between reactive and sovereign. Most people speak from reflex. They answer emotional cues immediately. They adjust tone to seek approval. They fill space to avoid misinterpretation. That keeps them readable. And readable means manageable. You step out of that tier the moment you stop reacting. You don't rush to reassure. You don't hurry to correct. You don't chase alignment through words. This isn't withdrawal. It's elevation. There's a hierarchy that forms naturally in every interaction. Those who need resolution now, and those who can wait. Those who need to be understood, and those who are comfortable being misread temporarily. The moment you stop narrating yourself, you move up that hierarchy. Your old identity was cooperative but porous, available but exposed, engaged but predictable. That identity dissolves quietly, not through effort, through restraint. You become grounded instead of expressive, contained instead of expansive. You don't lean forward into the exchange. Others lean toward you. This shift isn't cosmetic. It's internal order replacing impulse. You begin to feel less urgency to correct impressions, less anxiety about how you're perceived in real time, because perception becomes something you manage indirectly. People respond to this before they understand it. They slow down. They choose words more carefully. They sense that access now has a cost. You haven't become distant. You've become weighted. And weight changes gravity. This is the identity replacement. From someone who reacts to the moment to someone the moment reacts to. You don't announce it. You embody it. None of the principles you've learned so far are about controlling others. Not really. The real power lies inside, in how you manage your impulses, in how you shape your perception, in how you decide what to reveal and what to hold. When you speak less, others appear to act more. It seems like influence, but it is only a mirror of your internal control. The world cannot be fully controlled. Circumstances are indifferent. People act according to their own priorities. To force outcomes is exhausting. Trying to explain yourself constantly is a surrender of leverage. The strategy is not external dominance. It is internal order, mastery over reaction, discipline over expression, precision over habit. Every pause you maintain, every word you withhold, is a reinforcement of that order. You are no longer hostage to the psychological momentum of the room. You set the tempo by refusing to be moved. The paradox is subtle but profound. By not controlling the world, you control your experience of it. By not explaining, you guide. By listening, you anticipate. By waiting, you create pressure. External compliance is a byproduct, not the goal. Power is the management of self, and all else flows from that quiet, internal sovereignty. Your authority is no longer performative. It is structural, invisible, undeniable.